Liberty Division is a marquee corner in Ann Arbor. This is a marquee location for one of the city's great organizations.
It's not a story about a building, but it's a story about an organization and people who are standing behind what they're trying to do.
We wanted a space that'd both be functional for the people who work there and the volunteers who would come to spend time there, and we wanted a space that would express the Ecology Center's values.
We reached out to the community and we brought in architects, architectural students, and then we brought in people throughout the community, whether they were builders, cabinet makers, and they were all part of a series of monthly project meetings that we had where we talked about different parts of the project and basically used that team to help steer the project and make decisions about the direction we were going to go.
There was a bouncing off of ideas, so you get two brains working on it, and I think you get a more robust solution.
Green architecture is trying to build buildings that have either a less negative or ideally even a positive effect on the environment.
As we got into the project, LEED made sense for many of the issues we were looking at, and it also is a great way for us to brand the project.
It's just like going back to grade school and getting a scorecard and getting a report card that says here's our design and here's our construction process. Here's the set of criteria that could help us understand how to make this building more energy efficient, more environmentally friendly, more human friendly, and let's see how we can do. Let's see what kind of grade we can get at the end of the day.
As we were going through the demolition of the space, we looked at some of the materials we were pulling out of the space, and a lot of those materials were really toxic. We looked at the suspended ceiling tiles for the whole office space, and those ceiling tiles, which there were hundreds of them, were full of brominated flame retardants, which were hazardous. All the electrical wiring was PVC. Almost all of it had lead-based stabilizers in it, so some of the wiring had over 1% lead in it. And then on the other side, we flipped that around and said, okay, how do we, as we're designing the space, make it healthier? So instead of suspended ceiling tiles, we have drywall with zero VOC paint on it.
We looked for alternatives and found PVC-free and halogen-free wiring available. In the LEED process, they considered it experimental.
We've got carpet tile that is recyclable. We reused a lot of materials. We saved all the interior trim and reused it. We reused all the interior glass lights and doors that were there. We reused the kitchen cabinets that were in there.
As we were doing the demolition, we pulled out literally thousands of linear feet of 2x4 and 2x6 lumber that were used for framing the previous ceiling in the space. We organized volunteers and did dozens of hours of denailing and processing of that lumber with the eye towards using that lumber for furniture. We made a connection with the furniture design program at Eastern Michigan University.
We sent them over to EMU and they glued them all together and made some really beautiful tops. And the legs are made out of pieces of sprinkler pipe that were going to just be thrown away.
We came up with an interesting finish that's a non-petroleum based polyurethane called Polyway.
It's made out of whey, which is the leftover from making cheese. It was a wonderful material to work with, and it was sort of the piece de resistance of making this furniture, is to being able to finish it with a nice finish that was non-toxic.
We wanted the project to be a model for how you could go into a tenant space and maximize what you can get out of it in terms of creating a healthy, energy efficient space. The HVAC equipment for heating and cooling was existing equipment, but what we did is we gutted it and installed new advanced controls.
Well, the ductwork allows us to use less energy to move the air and helps balance the flow of the air to the various areas we need to in the quantities we need it. Then we have to be able to provide that air, heated or cooled, economically. By going with variable air volume, we'll only be conditioning the air we need to provide the comfort that's required for the space. So this is very affordable for a renter who's got, say, a 5-year lease, and if they want to reduce their energy consumption, reduce their cost of operation, and reduce their cost of maintenance, doing a well-engineered control system such as this, they'll have their money back in 2 to 3 years max.
I can bring people here to actually see that we walk the walk, that we stand behind our message.
We have places to meet, multiple places to meet in groups. We have a conference room, we have a cafe area, we have offices.
Creating a good environment that feels good to be in, that you don't have a headache at the end of the day and you don't feel light deprived. You get people who stay a lot longer. You get people who perform better when they're there.
It's economically sensible, it's certainly being a good citizen, and third, it's putting your money where your mouth is.
The Ecology Center, by choosing to follow this path, is part of a process that's putting pressure on the larger building and design community to make changes.
I've been involved in green building for a very, very long time and feel strongly that it's what we need to do to have less impact on the earth, that it's not that difficult to do, and that every space should be as environmentally sound as this space.